From inside Michelle Pfeiffer's hot pants in Grease 2, it's the IGN Digigods. So take off your thinking caps and please welcome two strangers on a train, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
You know, being inside Michelle Pfeiffer's hot pants in Grease 2, and by the way, that's hopefully our last vintage opening that we've returned to. We're going to get our new intros recorded, but I was going to say, being inside Michelle Pfeiffer's hot pants in Grease 2, not a bad place to be.
You know, I disagree, because I think Olivia Newton-John, in the original Grease, she was the one.
This isn't an either,
she was the one that I wanted.
This isn't an either-or proposition.
I cannot have both. In fact, I cannot have either.
Yeah, well, there you
but
go.
That being said, I would go for the ONJ.
Is anything going on right now? Seriously.
Well, we have a lot of movies to watch before we vote as the LA
Unbelievable.
Film Critics Association members that we are.
It's oppressive. It's like I'm doing nothing but just sitting in screening rooms and watching TV, which is all I do anyway. But for some reason, I just feel more pressure at this time of year.
Well, Wade,
don't you feel pressured?
I do. And you know what? It's getting to the point where I'm starting to be judiciously choosing the films I want. It's like I didn't see J. Edgar. I did not see it because nobody liked it.
There's no reason to.
What's the point? There's another 3 films I could watch that night at home, which I might actually vote for.
There you go.
So I'm not going to see Jedgar.
No.
But the screenings are coming in. In fact, Wade, I have a FedEx here.
Yeah.
I was not here to pick it up.
I hate it when they do this.
Well, the thing is that with these screeners, when they start sending it to your home, the smaller distributors will just send it, mail it, and it's on your doorstep. But the studios will tend to send it via FedEx, and you've got to be there to sign for it. You can't just sign the tag.
Because they're afraid that film pirates are lurking outside the addresses of all film critics, and that if someone delivers a FedEx without signing for it and leaves it on the doorstep, that pirate will immediately snatch it, run home, upload it to Indonesia, and before you know it, it'll be all over the world.
When actually the reason it was all over the world was because it was lifted from a post house.
Usually. But you know how they are. They're paranoid.
It is bizarre.
All right, let's talk about movies and DVDs and things.
Well, Wade, I don't know why we're starting with this, but we're starting with Assassin's Creed Lineage.
You know why we're starting with that?
Now, this is
Get it out of the way.
Oh, wow. It's the bitter Wade. I like it. This is a strange little creation because this is a feature-length movie that is a prequel to a video game.
Just unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. But you know what? Call of Duty 3,
12, 97.
Warriors doing something. It made like $300 million.
I know.
Now again, that's $60 a pop. It's $60 for one of these these video games.
Yeah.
It made like $300 million in the first weekend that it was. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
That's a loyal, devoted following. And if you let's whittle that down to a movie opening, okay? If those things cost $60 a pop, your average movie ticket is now what, about $7?
Yes.
Okay, well that's a $30 million opening for a movie. That if you're just going on tickets sold, that's a $30 million opening. That's except these people are shelling out $60 for a game as opposed to $7, $8, $9 a movie. But I think is the average ticket price is it $7, $8?
I'm sure.
Notwithstanding the $12 that we pay in big cities.
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. What you have to understand is that with a video game, you really only buy it once. Like video games don't have any value.
Yeah.
6 months after a video game comes out, it's over. Nobody's renting John Madden 2008.
True.
Once a video game comes out, you've got to get your pop there because no one's going to go buy it a year after it's made. So as opposed to a movie where maybe you'll see it on the screen, maybe you'll rent it in Redbox, maybe your cable bill is partially going to the funding of buying those movies. So I understand that with film there's much longer tail. Whereas with video games, it's a very short tail. So
longer tail.
He said tail. So the fact that it costs $60, I totally get that. But anyway, Assassin's Creed Lineage. This is a film. It looks great. Is it any good? Of course not. But it looks good. And if people love the video game, they will totally go for this crazy movie. It's on Blu-ray, so it looks good.
We got another Blu-ray here. This movie, unfortunately, has just hit at the wrong time. This trend is over. Griff the Invisible. Went straight to video, straight to DVD, straight to Blu-ray. We have a Blu-ray right here. This is from Vivendi. It stars this guy Ryan Quanten, who's on True Blood, who I guess has some kind of a small following. Anyway, this is one of those average person turned superhero movies. It kind of sits there somewhere between like Defendor and
Super.
Well, yeah, kind of like between Defendor and Super on the one hand, and the other one on the other, the Nick Cage thing with Chloe Moretz. Kick-Ass.
Oh, well, Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass.
Oh, I love Kick-Ass.
I love Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is great, but it's kind of somewhere between that, and it's okay, but it's like, I don't know, it's not nearly as good as Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is just phenomenal. You know, basically he plays a guy who has an alternate identity at night. He's a nighttime kind of superhero, and there's a girl, and there's the jeopardy of his
I like the
identity.
Girl. I like the girl part of it. I thought the girl thing was cute. It's not a great superhero movie, but it's actually an okay, kind of decently cute little riff on the superhero thing.
It's the kind of movie, really, that should go straight to DVD and Blu-ray. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if they had tried to release this thing theatrically, I think it would have been a mistake. But it's fine. He has a following on TV, and they'll find out about this. And
he's Australian.
Sure.
The guy, he's Australian. People love Australians.
Yeah, they're all the hunky men are Australian
because they talk funny. But you know, it's a sweet film. It's a surprise. It's not great, but it's kind of sweet.
Yeah. We also have a film here called The Tree, which I loved, by the way. This is directed by Julie Berticelli. It was the closing night film at the Cannes Film Festival. And Julie Berticelli made a remarkable film. She's French, but she made a film in Australia, which is a really fascinating movie because we last week talked about that dreadful thing with Jenna Fisher. And this is basically kind of the same plot. It's about a woman whose husband dies unexpectedly and how she copes with that. The difference is that Jenna Fisher thing is totally pedestrian, unremarkable, tries to be funny, not the least bit funny, and she's miscast. In this one, Charlotte Gainsbourg plays the woman, and it's all set in the Australian outback, and it's kind of about how this tree on the property begins to grow, and the kids believe that the tree is a manifestation of their father. And it really has this cool kind of magical, realist, surreal kind of sensibility to it. I think it's a beautifully made film. It feels really cool and fresh, and it got no traction at the box office. But you got to check it out. It's really a beautifully acted, very kind of pastoral and poetic film. Really good. I can't recommend this highly enough. And if you were a fan of Since Otar Left, well, that was the last film directed by Julie Berticelli. So she's a really good director. I just want to see her get a pop in her career because she's so talented.
Wade, you know what film isn't very good?
I'm going to say Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I'd rather watch that than rewatch Larry Crowne.
Would you really?
Yes, I would.
Gosh, Tom Hanks, it's been years since he did That Thing You Do, and he thought he was a good director.
You know what the problem is? This is what happens when a really, really rich, out-of-touch guy tries to make a movie about people who are unemployed and hurting. I just think that this thing, which just to tell you what it's about. Larry Crowne, played by Hanks, he's this blue-collar guy. He loses his job, so he has to go back to community college to learn a new trade. He winds up with a crush on his teacher, played by Julia Roberts, the best thing about the movie. And what I just really, really didn't like about this film, and I know I'm not in the minority, it is just bland, and it is unrealistic. And
it's, because this would have been like a #1 hit opening film in 1989.
Yes.
I mean, seriously.
Doing the Pretty Women era or something.
Oh, my gosh. Tom Hanks directing himself and Julia Roberts in a comedy, and it's a cute thing, and it's a funny, and it's a whole deal. It's how much are the problems in this film would you chalk up to the co-writer?
Well, Nia Vardalos is the one who wrote...
You said her name. You spoke the name that one must not speak.
She wrote My Big Fat Greek Wedding and has kind of really crapped out ever since. But this one, you know what? It's that cutesy, hollow... just coy and sickly sweet dialogue in a story that really should be resonating with people who are unemployed and people who can see what it's like to be unemployed. I just don't understand. It's just the thing with the movie that makes me the angriest is that it's totally out of touch.
Yeah.
It thinks it's telling some timely story like, Up in the Air or I would even argue Take Shelter, which is about anxiety and being unemployed and having problems with your family and you can't provide... This movie is just completely out of touch. It's just a total misfire, and it's very disappointing because I love That Thing You Do. It's a great movie.
I'm not sure why this movie got really so little attention. Magnolia just kind of, they really don't release their films very well. We got a Blu-ray here for a movie called Main Street with a terrific cast and, directed by John Doyle, who's a very competent director. And here's the thing. Forget about John Doyle. Here's the cast and here's the screenwriter. You ready for this, Mark? If somebody said to you, I got a movie with Colin Firth, Ellen Burstyn, Patricia Clarkson, Amber Tamblyn, and Orlando Bloom, and I got a script by Horton Foote, wouldn't you say, sign me up? Let's release that sucker.
Horton Hears a Foot?
I mean, but seriously. I mean, Horton Foote, he's a great American writer.
Who has since passed away.
Yeah. Wouldn't you say, yeah,
there's nobody,
sign me up for that?
There is, obviously from a mainstream level, there's nobody sellable there. So you've got to hope that some smaller company sees some value in it. The thing is that with a movie like this, it's not going to win awards, and it's not going to make a lot of money. So where does it go? What's its niche?
Well, that's the thing. You got to know how to market this. You have to know the audience, and you got to know how to reach them. And clearly, Magnolia didn't necessarily know. Too bad, I mean, it's really unfortunate. And Horton Foote really goes way back. I mean, he did the screenplay for To Kill a Mockingbird. I mean, and Tender Mercies, and he's been around forever. Not anymore, but
Trip to Bountiful.
Yeah, Trip to Bountiful. Yeah. Anyway, this is basically set in a North Carolina town, and it's one of those cool little kind of quasi-messianic American small-town pieces about how something almost magical changes the lives of everyone in the town, and I think it's lovely. It's almost quaint, but it's moving, and it's got great performances, and all these people there. I mean, terrific actors: Patricia Clarkson, Colin Firth, and Ellen Burstyn alone. That's great. Come on, give me a break.
You know what? It's one of those little movies that we will consider one of our I don't know, what would you say? One of our like underground picks?
Yeah, absolutely. Check it out. Why not?
Wade, look.
Yes.
Do you realize what Blu-ray has provided the world? Another opportunity to re-release every single goddamn Evil Dead film.
I know. It's a running joke at this point.
It really is.
There will be, at some point, they're just going to release a new one every month.
Blu-ray.
With a new commentary.
Well, this is the 25th anniversary edition. This is on Blu-ray. And the one thing about this that I will say, if you have the other 17,648 versions of this film on VHS and DVD and Blu-ray, is that there's a lot of special features. Audio commentary with Sam Raimi, there's a couple of a bunch of featurettes, examination of the way the film was edited, which is always kind of interesting. A thing here called The Road to Wadesboro. Yeah, because you're Wade. Production videos taken at the time. There's archival featurettes. There's a look at the effects. So they definitely,
It's a funny movie. It's not a scary movie.
None of these films are scary. They're all just good fun. But you know what? Just enough already. And by the way, does it look good on Blu-ray? Whatever.
Wasn't it shot on like 0.5mm film?
I mean, seriously. I mean, I guess if you want to have it on Blu-ray, go nuts. But I don't really see the unless
point.
You know what? If you want your Three Stooges level physical humor in Blu-ray, then go for it.
You know what movie I love, Mark?
Star Wars.
What movie I really love? Beginners. And this also got very little traction. Focus didn't do much with this. I'm so disappointed in the way people market these films. I got to tell you, Beginners is terrific. I hope this thing gets a little bit of awards love. Have you heard anybody else in the group talking about this?
No, but what's interesting is that it was written and directed by Mike Binder.
Yeah.
And his father came out.
Mike Mills.
Mike Mills?
Yeah.
Mike Mills' father came out when he was 75.
Yeah.
And Mike Mills' mother had cancer. So there's definitely some autobiographical stuff, and you can see that.
Very autobiographical. Yeah, it's Ewan McGregor plays the lead character, and Christopher Plummer in a terrific performance as his father, who, after his mother dies, his father says, you know what, I'm gay. And that's one of the great moments in the movie, actually, because he sort of, in his mind, imagines or remembers his father saying that, but you see him say it like 7 or 8 different times, wearing different shirts and different inflections, and you can tell that he just can't wrap his head around it any way at all. But it's lovely. There's a romance in here as well with a French woman played by Melanie Laurent, who I just adore. She's just great. We remember we had a little moment with Melanie Laurent doing the video junket for Inglourious Bastards.
She liked me.
Yeah, I know she did.
No, she did.
And by the way, nobody knows this. If you ever go onto YouTube and you watch us doing the little shtick with Melanie Laurent, honestly, Harvey Weinstein is about a pace and a half off frame. He's just loitering in the room adjacent.
He knows you. He knows your reputation. Difficult questions.
Oh, yeah. Can't ask many in 3 minutes. But anyway, this is a terrific film. Ewan McGregor really holds it together just beautifully. It's about his emotional journey in the face of all of this chaos in his life, and it's a terrific film, really terrific. Mike Mills does an audio commentary that is excellent, very personal and really sharp. It's got promo and a featurette on it. Even though I would normally say this is not the kind of movie you got to see on Blu-ray, it just works better, and maybe it's because it draws you into the faces of the characters more effectively. It's not a great cinematography piece, but it's very artfully put together, and when you see it, you'll see what I mean. There's the way that it's structured, the way that it's pieced together. Mills makes it very much kind of a personal tone poem, and so even though it's not a great visual piece, it is a stylistic piece, and it really benefits nicely from the Blu-ray, I think. So rock on, go check that one out.
Wait, a couple stinkers here. I think we have Jessica Alba trying to get all serious in a movie called An Invisible Sign. This is a very much of a Beautiful Mind type of.
What's happened to her career?
Well, how great was she anyway? Was she really anything interesting anyway? Well, here she tries to get all serious. It's very much, she plays like this, she's a woman who kind of, she...
Whores around, kills people, sucks their blood.
Her father was like this mathematician, and he's been going insane, so she retreats into like the world of numbers, where like everything's like a number. Yeah. And it's all just bathos, and it's not realistic, and her performance is just like quirky and fidgety for the sake of being like all mannered and quirky, and it's just, it's based on a novel, which I'm sure is terrific, but the film itself is just emotionally so on the nose. It's just totally not worth it, and it's on Blu-ray, and there's no special features, so why would you even rent it at all?
I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't, because you have no taste.
Thank you.
The Father of Invention has a terrific cast, including Kevin Spacey, Heather Graham. Can I say something about Heather Graham?
Ageless.
She kind of is, right?
It's weird.
She's got to be in her 40s, right?
She is. She's like 42.
So
it's weird because she still looks like she's 17. I don't know how she does it. I really don't.
Wait, can someone find out if she's married?
She's not.
She's not?
No.
But she's probably crazy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been around long enough that you just do the math on that, right?
I know.
She's over 40. She's hot, right? Not married? Crazy. That's the equation. It's algebra. It's just basic Hollywood algebra. That's what it is.
That is true. Anyway, Kevin Spacey is actually quite funny. He plays this totally arrogant, like he's like this infomercial producer, an infomercial mogul, and his whole empire collapses, and so now he's got to kind of put his life back together. And this is, of course, the most exciting part of this film. This is where you finally get to see Kevin Spacey with a homeless man's beard. Because he falls apart. Homeless man's beard.
That's great.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as long as he's in it, it's totally fine. Otherwise, there's not much of a story going on. It feels a little bit sketchy, huh?
He looked kind of homeless when he was playing the aging, balding, paunching Bobby Darin with a social conscience in Beyond the Sea.
Yeah, that movie sucked.
And yet, it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me.
Really?
Yeah, the dance sequences.
But you realize that here's what this film actually did.
Yeah.
This film wound up indirectly ruining another film.
Really? Father of Invention?
Yeah. No. Bobby Darin.
Beyond the Sea. Oh.
Yes, because
we shifted gears. I'm sorry, I didn't keep up with that.
How dare you? Because in Beyond the Sea, Bobby Darin's love interest is played by Kate Bosworth.
Right.
And when Bryan Singer was casting Superman and had landed on Kevin Spacey for Lex Luthor,
right.
Kevin Spacey said, I have a great Lois Lane. Kate Bosworth is awesome. I just worked with her in Beyond the Sea. She's great. You know what? Worst Lois ever.
That's unfortunate. Rio Sex Comedy Rio Sex Comedy directed by Jonathan Nossiter. Kind of a little bit of a quirky festival favorite, but nothing great. Decent cast though, so go give it a look. See if you feel inclined. If these people interest you. Charlotte Rampling, always worth a look. Bill Pullman hasn't been around for a while, but he's great. Irene Jacob, one of my favorites. I interviewed her. You know that? She's delightful. Love Irene Jacob.
In the Kieslowski film, she was delicious.
Oh,
But now she's in her 40s, too.
I know. And then Fisher Stevens and Jerome Kircher are kind of on the second tier here, even though Fisher Stevens becoming kind of a little mini-mogul of late in the last few years. You know, he was a producer on In the Bedroom. But no, you know what? It all takes place in Rio de Janeiro, and it's just kind of a French farce more than anything. Great cast. But the whole thing is kind of, you know, a little bit far-fetched. Bill Pullman plays a United States ambassador, and it all kind of spirals into madness after that, and it's okay. I mean, you know, nothing revolutionary here that you haven't seen in other films done probably better, but it's cute. It passes the time. If you want to see a good cast and a rather, you know, somewhat engaging farce in a nice location like Rio de Janeiro, check it out. Rio sex comedy.
You know, here's a bit of a recommendation. A movie called Putty Hill. Putty Hill came out in 2010, and it's an interesting film. It's
I actually like this film, and I didn't think I would. I was surprised.
This is a 2-disc set, actually, and it takes place in this kind of rundown wooded suburb of Baltimore, and this kid named Corey dies of an overdose, and you sort of meet all the people around him, and how the fact that, you know, nobody really liked this kid. This kid wouldn't really know anything about him, but it's all about kind of using that death as an entry into this little town. So it's really well done. It reminds me a little bit of what's his name? The one who does the Michelle Williams films, the woman, the director.
The one with the dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who directed that? Dog, woman. Don't stop the recording. Wait, I'm figuring this out.
It's like Pat and Mike,
Michelle,
Hillary and Mark, Frank and
Wait, don't stop the recording. Hang on. No, I'm actually thinking more of the director than anything else.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the title. It was like
it's
Max and Beauregard.
Max and Beauregard. What the hell is that?
I don't know. It
Wendy and Lucy.
That's it, Wendy and Lucy.
It reminds me of the films of Kelly Riker and Max. What the hell was that? Max and Beauregard?
Thinking of dog names, you know.
Whose dog is named Beauregard?
I don't know. If I had a dog, I'd name him Beauregard.
Jesus H. Christ. All right. Anyway, Putty Hill's a good film. It's kind of an overlooked movie. Check it out.
Cool. You know, a completely offbeat, weird, quirky 1978 film from Mars is Despair, and this is out on Blu-ray. Olive Films released the DVD some months ago, and this really, really good version. I got to tell you, seeing it on DVD was like, okay, it's fine. It looks good. You know, the restoration's great. The restoration really shines on Blu-ray. You really realize how much work they put into this. It's very, very good. It comes in this with a documentary making of featurette deal. It's actually more than a featurette. It's rather long. It's, you know, decent size. But anyway, the movie itself is over 2 hours. So between the movie and the documentary, you've got a good 3 hours of material on here.
Yeah, but look at this. It's based on a book by
Nabokov.
By Nabokov.
Adapted by Tom Stoppard. And directed by Fassbinder.
Yeah, so there's some serious pedigree going on here.
Yeah, and then, of course, you got Dirk Bogarde in the lead. The thing is a little bit 70s freaky. That's why it's kind of been buried, because it dates a little bit. It's about a guy who's basically losing his mind, and we have a lot of those from that era. You know, if you go all the way back to Polanski's Repulsion, and there's a lot of stuff of, you know, people going crazy or going on drug trips, and everything gets freaky. But this is done really, really, really well, and I think it dates, you know, despite all of the kind of kitschy surroundings, I think as a movie, as a dramatic piece, it dates really well, and the Blu-ray is great. So if you want to see a long-lost Fassbinder film, and Andy Klein swears by this. He saw this when it was released.
So now you're just aging Andy.
I'm aging Andy, absolutely. Better to age Andy than age myself. And before we move into other things, this week's pick of the week, as far as I'm concerned, is the Blu-ray of My Fair Lady. Now, really all they did here was take the current DVD special edition release of My Fair Lady and just port everything over. So it's not like they said, we've got the Blu-ray, let's just really amp it up like they did with Ben-Hur and like they did with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, no, with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. No, they didn't give it the royal treatment, which I wish they would have. It would have been deserving, and it would have sold beautifully for the holidays, but they didn't. That being said, terrific Blu-ray, looks gorgeous.
It's a great transfer. The costumes and the sets look great, and the colors really pop. Looks good.
You know what? It's the transfer is a credit to the incredible restoration by Robert Harris and James Katz. Robert Harris, I am proud to say, is a very good friend of mine, and I know a lot about the work that he went through on this, and it was bravo. You know, he and Jim did a sensational job. This is one of the great 70mm films of all time, and it belongs on Blu-ray. You just can't get any better. Excellent extras on here. You know, the original featurettes and all kinds of galleries and a great commentary. You got to check it out. It's terrific.
Yep, My Fair Lady.
All right, Mark. We have a couple of audio listener mail submissions.
We do?
Yes, we do.
You didn't tell me that.
That's because I'm just full of surprises. Like to keep you sharp. Like to keep you on your toes. So yes, you can always email these to us at gods@digigods.com. Send it in the form of an audio question if you want it to be cut into the show. Or, if you're shy and bashful, you can always send us just a regular email and we'll read it. So anyway, without wasting any further time, here is our first question by audio.
Dear Wade and Mark, my name's Reese. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and I'd just like to start off by thanking you both for supplying years and years worth of highly educational and humorous banter about films. I started listening to the show when I was, around 16, and I'm nearly 20 now, so, I think I'm a bit of a fan of it. But I do have a question for you two, though, which is, do you guys have any films that you sort of have fond memories of watching with a bunch of mates, having a bit of a piss up at home? Like, on a number of occasions, Wade has made comments that he doesn't get movies like Harold and Kumar or Van Wilder. But I found that some of those films are my absolute favourites, purely for the memories I've had watching them while getting pretty pissed. So I was just curious if either of you two have any stories or memories you'd like to share, watching those sort of films and just having a bit of fun. And if you can make any recommendations for me and my mates. Anyway, again, I'd just like to thank you both for, everything you've done over the last couple of years, and I hope you keep going. Cheers, mates. Bye.
Yeah, you know what? I just cannot listen to anyone from Australia speak without wanting to go there on vacation. It just seriously. I hear Australians talk. Even anytime I see Hugh Jackman or anybody on a talk show, and I just think I have got to go to Melbourne or Sydney or Perth. I just want to go. It sounds like just such a fun place.
I would do it.
The accent just kills me. It's so fun.
I would do it tomorrow if the flight wasn't 16 hours.
That's what makes it worth it. It's like the edge of the world.
No, but then you're on a plane for 16 hours, and what if it crashes?
Yeah, but then
it's
you see kangaroos.
If you're in a car and something goes wrong with the car, you can pull over to the side of the road.
Yeah.
If you're in a plane and something goes wrong, you cannot pull over to the side of the road. And you're on the plane for. Now, I've been to Japan. I've been all around, but I'm just saying that. It's something about Australia, it gets me all edgy.
In answer to the question, you know what? Yes, I'll tell you. This is my get together with my buddies and just love this movie, even though we know it's a stupid film, but we just have the most fun in the world with it. Strange Brew. I'm sure I've said that on this show before, but Strange Brew just absolutely kills me. I quote it all the time. Whenever I get together with some of my buddies, we all quote, go back to the asylum. There's just got tons, and that time code is very, very hard to fake. There's so many great lines.
I'm going to say something, Wade, which I've said before publicly. Strange Brew, dud.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Strange Brew is that film for me, I got to confess.
Well, I would probably say that film for me, you know what, I'll name two. And by the way, we're a little bit older than the...
well, yes. Yeah. Shh.
Exactly.
We'll leave it at that.
So I will say Animal House.
That's a good one.
I'll pretty much say almost any early 80s Bill Murray comedy. Stripes, Caddyshack.
Stripes for sure.
Stripes, Caddyshack, and then maybe Fletch. Definitely Animal House, Revenge of the Nerds. I would say Animal House, Revenge of the Nerds, and any Bill Murray comedy from that era.
Revenge, I'd go with most of those. And you know what? I would also throw in Beavis and Butthead Do America, which is a more recent film, but I absolutely adore it and can't get enough of those guys.
We love Beavis and Butthead.
The fact that they're on TV again makes me so happy.
It's the best.
It's just it's blissful stupidity. All right, thank you, Rafe. That was a great question. We have one more.
Good afternoon, Digigods. My name is Frank Lopes. I'm from Connecticut, and I have to say, before I ask my question, that's a real thrill to get a chance to talk to you guys today. On to my question, I guess. This question goes back to your review a couple weeks ago about the Citizen Kane Blu-ray. During your interview, you were discussing the process of the Blu-ray conversion process, and that I can't recall the company who released the Blu-ray, but you talked about how the cleaning out process had altered the original movie to a degree that you felt impacted the narrative in some way. Most specifically, the scene, the beginning scene, the reporter scene. My question is, it revolves around a discussion I was having with a friend of mine, debate regarding that conversion. We were questioning how the conversion process, when turning this original movie into a Blu-ray, the digital format, that although it's high def, that digital format should reflect quite accurately the original picture as it was filmed by Orson Welles, and it should have brought the quality, the clarity of that video to his vision as much as possible. The question was, and the argument was maintained, that if that was true, was there something done to alter that, and how would you guys know that? Would you, and did you have perhaps a chance to see the original print of that original movie? And in some ways, we had the argument that maybe perhaps the original vision did have and was maintained by that digital transformation process, and that perhaps were we actually getting what he originally envisioned, that we were finally seeing that format as it should have been displayed or run or projected by Orson Welles when it was originally released, and that now we're finally seeing that original vision? Or is it, and have you any particular insight into that original viewing, that maybe you had, like we said before, maybe you had seen the original print? We're just curious how you came to that conclusion.
Excellent question from Frank Lopes. Here is the quick answer to that, as quick as we can make it. When you shoot a film, you don't it's not perfectly shot the way that you eventually want it to be. For example, you oftentimes have to do color timing and various corrective processes. Used to be chemical, now it's digital, but you do have to change the shading and the color and to kind of push and pull it and get it to where you want it to be. So the raw negative does not necessarily reflect the way the film is eventually going to be. For example, if you're shooting a regular film, sometimes you're going to, the sun moves while you're shooting it, and takes earlier in the day are going to look more red, and takes later in the day are going to look more blue, or vice versa. So they have to make all of that match eventually. I have seen Citizen Kane in a nitrate print that was part of the UCLA Film Archive, which does accurately reflect what Welles wanted. Most scholars know this. A lot of movies have had problems with this in their releases. Lawrence of Arabia has been all over the map in terms of its color timing and its shading and all of that. Robert Harris has had to, who we mentioned earlier, he has had to be involved in finally getting that to look the way it needs to look. And, there are a lot of other films out there. Once Upon a Time in the West, there's a lot of controversy about whether or not that has been properly color timed for video. So
it is really a bit of film technology or film process that people don't necessarily know a lot about, which is color timing.
Yeah.
And now, of course, it's all digital. I mean, it's funny because now that color timing has gone digital,
yeah,
when you look at a film and when you look at cinematography, some people have a problem differentiating between how the film was shot by the cinematographer on location or on set versus how much better he can make it look digitally through timing in post, and whether that process gives an artificial, it sort of artificially gooses what was done on set.
True. Although, the thing that is really relevant here is that if they're screwing this up, they're not using proper reference materials. They're not, here you have the raw materials from Citizen Kane. You're digitizing it for high def. You should be religiously checking it against some kind of a really clean source print to make sure that what you are digitizing and what you're cleaning up looks exactly like that print. And that apparently is a process that is not a high priority in a lot of cases.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's something about the filmmaker's intent where if the filmmaker's intent is always paramount, and something like Citizen Kane where there's been so much written about it and Orson Welles has talked about it so much and there's been so many DVD and whatnot releases of it, we pretty much know at this point what Orson Welles' intent was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if a film, when it's getting its 2K or 4K or someday 8K, whatever it is, restoration, they know how bright or dark or gray every scene, every shot in that film should be. There's just too much reference material to go back to. Yep. So if they're making a mistake, then that's obviously something that is really just tragic.
We're going to get into some documentaries here. This one is just utterly grueling. It's a 2-disc special edition of Enemies of the People, which is by Rob Lemkin and Tet Sambat. Tet Sambat is the crucial figure here because this is a very, very personal film on his part because his family was slaughtered by the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. And this is one of the most grueling films I have ever seen about the Khmer Rouge, the killing fields, that entire horrible, horrible ordeal in Cambodian history. Not easy to watch, but absolutely crucial history because it personalizes it, which is a step beyond what most of the Khmer Rouge and killing field documentaries have done. So this is really first rate, but be prepared. It's a meat grinder, and it's 2 discs. There's tons of stuff here. Great for institutions, good for education.
What's not good for education or institutions, but I did like it a lot, is The People versus George Lucas. Now, this is a documentary about not only about that's not about Star Wars. It's really about how the culture has at first embraced Star Wars, and the fans completely embraced it, and then slowly over time, they started to turn on George Lucas as he did the restorations and, of course, the prequel films, which are so terrible. And it's really about these fans who have given up their entire childhood to love Star Wars, slowly seeing that love chipped away by the restorations and the horrible prequels. And I think this film is just terrific. It's really well edited. He works in, the director, Alexandre Philippe, he works in a lot of fan films. He works in a lot of interview bites from scholars and fans and whatnot. And really, this movie it's like a cri de coeur, Wade.
Totally.
It's a cri de coeur.
Okay.
It's a cry of the heart.
I understood your mangled French.
How do you say it?
Cri de coeur.
Cri de coeur.
Yeah.
From jilted Star Wars fans. But I like this film a lot. Special features include a commentary. It could have used more of those fan films. I think those fan films are great. I wish they would have put even more fan films on this DVD. But what are you going to do? I like the film a lot. The People versus George Lucas.
The Last Mountain is from Docurama, and this is a pretty good doc. There's a lot of these kind of eco docs that capture some remote campaign to save something or other, birds and estuaries and whatnot. But this one is interesting because it takes place in West Virginia, which we always associate as being an intensely coal-driven economy, and yet there's a case here where the community rallies to prevent a coal company from digging yet another mine in a mountain that is actually a beautiful little hill. And it's really fascinating. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gets in on the act, and even though there is definitely a point of view here, an ecological point of view, it asks a lot of interesting questions that go beyond the environmental movement. So this is a really interesting film. Very, very well done. The Last Mountain, directed by Bill Haney.
Also very good is Making Warhorse. Now, Warhorse is, of course, the Steven Spielberg film that is his big Oscar bait for the year. But
which I'm seeing next week, I believe.
Which I'm seeing next week, too.
Yeah.
But also, obviously, it's based on a stage play, which, of course, is based on a children's novel. So it's gone full circle. Children's novel,
and the horse,
movie.
all the horses, in fact, in the stage play, they're all puppets. And I just talked to a friend today, actually, who just got back from New York and saw Warhorse on stage. And it was interesting comparing this film to his account of seeing it live, and it's fascinating because really, you got to see this, Making Warhorse, because everything about the play is about the puppeteering. It's really amazing what they do with the horses and how they sort of own the puppeteers. It's great. Well,
that's what this DVD is all about. It's all about the making of the show. This thing was done through the National Theater, and there's these 2 directors. David Bickerstaff and Phil Grabsky. They were there for the whole process, and they did a great job sort of letting you know how behind the scenes in the rehearsal room, and there's interviews and with all the writers and the actors and whatnot, and the technical team, bringing Warhorse to life. This, of course, is coming out just in time for the Spielberg film. So, Making Warhorse, if you've seen the show and have any interest in the movie, you may want to see from whence it came. It came from the boards.
Yeah,
it came from the boards. Way children's novel to Broadway.
Pretty awesome.
To the movie theaters.
C-Rex, Journey to a Prehistoric World in 3D, is an IMAX 3D film that is now on Blu-ray 3D. And really, it's just kind of a Jurassic Park type thing where they transport you back in time to dinosaurs underwater. That's pretty much it. Pretty cool, actually. Just the whole concept of it is fairly juvenile, but it's the animation is pretty cool. The 3D I find still pointless, but what I always enjoy with these IMAX 3D releases is that they have this very iconic little simple equation. To watch this movie in 3D, you need a full HD 3D TV plus compatible 3D glasses plus Blu-ray 3D player plus high-speed HDMI cable. You know what? I just don't know that there is still yet enough people who care. But there it is. Also plays in 2D on any Blu-ray player.
Wade, to bring it down just a little bit, an excellent documentary, although hardly easy watching, is this Bill Moyers series, On Our Own Terms. This is a great documentary where he goes around and talks to terminally ill patients and discusses with them how they plan on living what's left of their lives, how they plan on getting ready for death. You get there was one brave, this doctor, he has cancer, and he's not going to treat it. He knows he's going to die from cancer, and he's not going to get chemo because he's heard too many stories about how horrible it is, and it's going to prolong his life for a few months, and it's going to be just pain-filled months anyway. And he talks to hospice workers who make sure that the terminally ill are cared for, and it's not easy watching, but it's just great stuff. And Bill Moyers is he's very gentle, he's very insightful, he's very knowledgeable, and it's great stuff. I mean, again, it's not easy watching, but it's good stuff. It includes a 16-page viewer guide, biography of Bill Moyers, but the DVD On Our Own Terms is really moving. It's good stuff.
Good for institutions. Mark?
Yes.
Roadhog!
Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo.
I love Mr. Magoo.
The television collection, 1960 to 1977. This is great. Absolutely terrific. This is this is from the Shout Factory people. We freaking love Shout Factory. This is everything Mr. Magoo from those crucial 17 years. And remember, Mr. Magoo has, there have been other releases. He's been around since 1949. This is not comprehensive Magoo. This is 31 hours of 60s and 70s era Magoo, and includes the Mr. Magoo Show, The Famous Adventures of Mr. Magoo, What's New, Mr. Magoo, and the TV special Uncle Sam Magoo. This is just a classic American cartoon. Who would think to do this today? To do a cartoon character who is old and blind?
Well, you can't do it today because it doesn't sell cereal or toys.
See, that's the thing. It's just that it comes from an era and it would never be replicated. You'd have to have everything would have to be cute and marketable. And oh dear, we can't have him be short-sighted because that'll offend somebody. It's a bummer, but this is terrific.
And yet somehow, as a society, we survived.
I know, right?
Mr. Magoo on television. Somehow we made that happen.
Just great. There's commentaries on here with a lot of animation historians. And a nice little featurette. So really terrific. Any Mr. Magoo fan has just got to be just going nuts for this. This is great. Good Christmas gift.
Wade, let's do some animated stuff here. We got two from the Avengers. This is from the good folks at Marvel. This is the Avengers Volume 3, the Avengers Volume 4. Volume 3 contains Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and the Hulk. And Volume 4 contains Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and the Hulk.
Wow, how about that?
They run around and do hulky stuff. You know what? I don't like this sort of animation. It's very sort of angular and squared off, and it's really not my favorite animation style. But the show's kind of a hit. So there's 6 episodes on Volume 3, and there's 7 episodes on Volume 4. So if you like this kind of stuff, go for it. It is the Avengers, Volume 3 and Volume 4.
Somehow the Miramax library wound up with these Hugo films. Hugo, they're animated and decently animated, cute, fine, adequate. They come from Per Holst Films, and that's a Norwegian company. So, regardless, he's a little jungle critter and he's cute, and you root for him. There you go. The 2 movies here is Go Hugo Go and Hugo the Movie Star. These have not become kind of as massively successful as I think Miramax may have originally hoped. They haven't really franchised in any way, but it's fine. It's not offensive, and kids will probably groove to it.
My favorite is Hugo, the reality star who had the sham wedding.
Oh yeah,
that's mine because Hugo really. Anyway, all right. Here's some kid stuff, which we obviously we can't really talk all that much about because we don't have kids. And I'm not going to sit here and watch all this crap. I'll just let you know that it's around. This is Scout and Friends Phonics Farm from the good folks at Leapfrog. This is all about learning how to, Learning your ABCs, Wade.
Yeah.
Come on, learn your ABCs.
And we got more from Leapfrog. We got a 3-DVD learning collection. They've got a few of these. This includes The Amazing Alphabet Amusement Park, Learn to Read at the Storybook Factory, and Numbers Ahoy. I just love that, Numbers Ahoy. It's kind of funny.
Starlight, Starbright, and Seasons of Adventure are two public television shows that are now on DVD. This Seasons of Adventure includes 8 episodes of Chirp and Quack. Chirp and Quack's a robin and a duck, Wade.
Yeah,
it's very rudimentary animation. And the other one, Starlight, Starbright, is from also is Chirp and Quack. As you can tell, I haven't watched these. Because, am I really going to watch this, Wade?
No.
Thank you.
Brats. I hate the Brats. They freak me out. It's like if I had a daughter, there's no way I'd let her near these things because they're. You know what? Can I say this on our show? Because this is kind of a show for adults. I think the Brats are kind of whorish.
They really are.
But I guess that's why they're popular. This is the Bratz 3-movie collection, which includes fashion bracelets. Heaven help us. You know those little rubbery things that all the kids wear? Well, all the girl kids.
You know, Mattel sued the guy who created Bratz.
I know they did. Genie Magic, Rock Angels with a Z, and Starrin' and Stylin'. You know what? Look, it's out there. If you have a daughter and you don't care, if you have a son and you don't care, go ahead. I dare you. I just dare you. But I don't get it. I don't like them as toys. I don't really like them as animated movie stars.
The Littlest Angel is a children's classic, as you know, and here it's given kind of a computer-animated 3D treatment in a new DVD called The Littlest Angel. This one's about, obviously you know what it's about. It's this kid goes to heaven before he's supposed to, and he's sent back to Earth to get a gift for the baby Jesus. Now, here's the thing. The baby Jesus really wants a gift. Why would you send this kid? Why don't you send, like, you know,
I know.
Sherlock Holmes or somebody or someone who really lived?
I know.
It makes no sense.
I don't really get it.
Anyway, you're better off with the picture book. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
Volume 3 of Tom and Jerry's Fur-Flying Adventures is more the same. Not the best Tom and Jerry stuff, but it's perfectly fine. So, I almost at this point feel like people are best. Just wait until somebody comes out with a big, giant box set of all these Fur-Flying Adventures because they're just kind of trickling out too slow. There's a few good shorts on here. A Life Less Guarded is good. Shutterbugged Cat is good. Snow Mouse is good. And Spook House Mouse is good. But, there's nothing on here that I would consider really kind of legendary Tom and Jerry.
Moving along, I'm not a big fan of the Wild Thornberries, but this is the Wild Thornberry Season 2, a 2-disc set on DVD.
Animation creeps me out.
The animation is very creepy. I do like the voice cast, which includes Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so you can't beat that. But this show, it's just a strange show to me. But you know what? If you love jungles and rainforest, go for it.
I am guilty that I have made fun of Elmo so much on this show, and I am now deeply moved by Elmo, and I'm not being facetious. There's a documentary out that I saw for radio a few weeks ago, Becoming Elmo, a puppeteer's journey, which is all about the guy who is the voice of Elmo, who is the puppeteer who controls Elmo. And I got to tell you, I had no idea that Elmo was a middle-aged black man. It's the strangest thing, seeing that voice. I always thought it was like a woman or a girl or something. I had no idea that voice came out of a rather large middle-aged black man from John Waters' hometown.
Baltimore,
thank you.
You know, I actually thought that Elmo was an actual creature. I didn't realize it was a puppet.
No, it's amazing. And the guy's story, his life story, is so incredible. It is such the American dream. Because Elmo was a pre-existing Muppet character that they couldn't figure out what to do with. He was kind of a minor Sesame Street character, and then he came in and gave it a whole new voice and a persona. Then, kids erupted in support, and Elmo has now become the most popular Sesame Street character ever. This is called Bye Bye Pacifier, Big Kid Stories with Elmo, and you know what? I would have made fun of this about 3 weeks ago, but I find it just really awesome now. Elmo and his pacifier is really kind of cool and touching.
Wade, the only one of these kids' discs I can really recommend is A Child's Garden of Poetry. Now, this is from HBO Family, and here you get a lot of classic poetry. Carl Sandburg, Emily Dickinson, E.E. Cummings, Robert Frost, all read by various and sundry celebrities like Claire Danes, Carrie Fisher, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Jeffrey Wright, Julianne Moore. So really, it's great actors reading great poetry, and it's a really terrific introduction to poetry for kids. A Child's Garden of Poetry. This one I like. This is good stuff.
Along with My Fair Lady, we are getting into foreign films now. Along with My Fair Lady, my pick of the week is the new Blu-ray Criterion release of Fanny and Alexander. Now, this isn't everybody's cup of tea. Fanny and Alexander is kind of like the last really kind of big, splashy Ingmar Bergman film. And splashy for Bergman means, it's still intense and angst-ridden, but this film is so accomplished and so magnificent. And you get 3 discs here, which contain the television version, the theatrical version, and then tons and tons and tons of extras. This is wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. The television version, mind you, is somewhere in the order of about 5 hours long. It is intense. It is fascinating. It is very, very compelling, but it's not for everybody. The 3-hour version that was released in the United States is a little brisker, but not quite as deep. Both of them are masterpieces. I'm not going to tell you anything else. They're absolutely genius. And also included here among the extras is the 2-hour making-of documentary, which is riveting. Ingmar Bergman fans will rejoice at this. The Sven Nykvist cinematography was made for Blu-ray. They just gave this a workover that you will not believe. If you do not have a state-of-the-art television, you need to go get yourself a state-of-the-art television, calibrate that thing, get it perfectly right, spot on, and then you watch this, and you will see everything that television can do. The colors, the shading, magnificent, pure heaven.
Wade, speaking of pure heaven,
yes,
I don't know. We have a DVD and a Blu-ray from Kino. Now, Metropolis, the Fritz Lang 1927 classic, was released on the restored version.
Was released some months ago, yes.
Yes, and I'm a huge, huge fan of it. I saw it projected in New York, and it was unbelievably great, and the Blu-ray is fantastic. Now, as some of you may not know, in 1984, Metropolis was re-released.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't just re-released, Wade. It was... Well, first of all, it was cut down enormously.
Yes, it was cut down.
But also...
And then it was tinted intermittently, like little red tint and blue tint and orange tint and gold tint. It was given all these different tints throughout.
But yet, Wade, what is the most important change, update in the 1984 version of Metropolis?
Well, we have to go back in 1984, and we have to remember that this was an era when Giorgio Moroder was king of movie music. There's Giorgio Moroder music all over the place, kind of going all the way back to things like Midnight Express when he won an Oscar for that really cool score that is now incredibly dated but still cool. He did stuff for Scarface. He did the score for Scarface. He did Flashdance, all the songs in Flashdance, the major songs in Flashdance. I mean, he was the man. It was this rockin' kind of kickin' disco digitally sound, and somebody had the bright idea of saying, hey, why don't we take Giorgio Moroder and take an old movie like Metropolis and spruce it up by letting him just slap a bunch of songs on it. And so instead of having a classic silent film score here, you have a Giorgio Moroder basically rock song score.
Yes, Wade. What they did is they took an hour out of the film, added a Giorgio Moroder score with songs by Pat Benatar, Billy Squier, and Adam Ant, and then re-released Metropolis. And you know what? It made a big splash in 1984. This is a big deal.
It did. I mean, look, it's not Fritz Lang's Metropolis. It was a weird little experiment, and the movie itself doesn't make any sense in this version. But it's like a giant music video, and I don't know if Fritz Lang would turn in his grave or not, but it's okay. It's fine. I enjoy watching it, but if I want to really watch Metropolis, I'm going to watch the more recent restoration,
which is gorgeous. Now,
amazing.
If they wanted to make the Giorgio Moroder version an extra, almost like Magnificent Ambersons is an extra on the Citizen Kane Blu-ray,
yeah.
If they wanted to make this one an extra on the Metropolis Restoration Blu-ray, then it would be like just over the moon great.
But I will say, I mean, they did a nice job with the transfer. The tints look really cool. It doesn't look shabby at all, and the music is great. I mean, in Blu-ray, the only reason you're watching this on Blu-ray is because you're getting the songs just in kickin' lossless, and that's pretty great. Good party stuff.
Speaking pretty great, Wade, you're a fan of The Departed, aren't you? Not really, neither am I.
I prefer Infernal Affairs.
Yes, and Infernal Affairs is out on Blu-ray, Wade. Now, we just have the original Infernal Affairs. There was three of them.
There were 3 of them. It's a trilogy, and you almost need the trilogy. I'm a little annoyed that they're not releasing the trilogy, because I have an import with all 3 films, and they should have all 3 films in a Blu-ray trilogy. I don't know why they're not doing that.
Because this is the only one that has any... You know why? Because this is the only film in the series where they could say, the motion picture that inspired The Departed right on the top of the box,
Yeah,
and that'll
but
get people checking it out.
need the other
Infernal
two.
Affairs 2 and 3, which are very good, you can't really say that. It's a pure marketing play, is what it is.
You need the others.
But the film looks great. It's a terrific film. It's better than the Scorsese film. So much more surprising, and believe it or not, even stylish.
Oh, it's so
and
good.
it's great. There's some special features here, but you've seen these on other iterations of the DVD and the Blu-ray. There's a making of, there's a behind-the-scenes look at it, there's an alternate ending, which is not as good as the ending that they used. But Infernal Affairs is a terrific, terrific film. I would see that, and then
Any day.
and then watch The Departed, and you'll realize that Infernal Affairs is better.
Fascinating, right? A Best Picture winner that's not as good as the film it was based on. 3 by Teo, and that's Teo spelled Theo. This is the Teo Van Gogh collection. Blind Date, Interview, and 1-900. If you don't know who Teo Van Gogh was, you need to. Teo Van Gogh was a very, very successful Dutch filmmaker, descended from Vincent van Gogh, actually, and he died. One might say one of the first major casualties of the War on Terror, because he was working with a then legislator in the Dutch Parliament named Ayaan Hirsi Ali, a Somali woman who has since gone on to write a number of very successful books, an extraordinary woman. They were working together on a film about the abuse of women in Muslim countries. And a fanatic who did not like the idea of that jumped out in the middle of the street while Van Gogh was riding his bicycle and stabbed him to death in plain view and in public. That should not necessarily make you want to see his movies, just to sort of underscore the kind of fearless filmmaker he was. These 3 films are all very, very good. One of them, Blind Date, was remade as a Stanley Tucci film in 2007, the same year that the other film, Interview, was remade by Steve Buscemi in 2007. So 2 of these have been redone as American films, but not nearly as good. They really, really are fascinating movies. They should be seen in their original versions, and bravo to E1 for bringing all of them out. 1-900, by the way, we shouldn't let go. It's all about anonymous phone sex, and that's still is it's almost prescient, more important now than it was at the time.
Yes, a tragic story, Teo, definitely.
Yeah.
Going back in time to about 1974.
Yep.
This is Going Places, the terrific, offensive, strange, hilarious, sad
Bertrand Blier film.
Bertrand Blier film. This is Gerard Depardieu and Patrick Dewar, and they play these 2 kids in their 20s, and basically they go on a bike. They're amoral. They don't care who they sleep with. They don't care who they mess around with. They don't care. And Miu
Miu is delicious.
And Miu Miu is delicious.
And so is Isabelle Huppert and Jeanne Moreau.
And Jeanne
who also
Moreau's
show
too.
up in this. But it's interesting. I know you hate it when I bring up Colcoa, but at Colcoa this last year, I moderated an evening with Bertrand Blier, who is lovely, by the way, charming, funny, hysterical man. And we talked a little bit about this. And all of his stories of working with Depardieu are so intriguing because it's almost like his relationship with Depardieu has worked with him more than almost any other director, and it's almost as if Depardieu is his De Niro is to him as De Niro was to Scorsese.
No. As DiCaprio is to Scorsese.
Oh, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Or DiCaprio is now to Clint Eastwood. No, it's really fascinating. Depardieu is when you hear him talk about it, you realize just what a gifted actor he is. Because Depardieu doesn't need to. He's got it. He nails it. He knows it. He almost doesn't even need direction. It would be like, let me, Gerard, could I talk to you? No, I got it. I know, and he nails it. It's a director's dream, and I think you see that in this film, and I'm thrilled that it's out on Blu-ray. Thank you, Kino.
Yep, it's you know what? I think younger audiences would like this because these 2 characters are so
totally.
They're so amoral. They're just hilariously amoral. They just don't care. The women they harass doesn't matter to them.
Mark, I'm going to take us out on this. I think we could almost rename this film "Occupy the French Countryside."